If I get a bit tongue-tied, that is because this is the fourth video I'm filming today. I've been talking so much. Hi guys, it's Tasha. Today I will be talking about the books that I read in December. The first book that I read in December was Disruption by Jessica Shervington. I listened to the audiobook for this. Disruption is a dystopian book in which everyone has these microchips in bracelets that identify your perfect match. The main character, Maggie, she is trying to figure out what happened to her dad, who tested negative with these bracelets or with other people and was taken away, and she wants to know what happens to him. This was really engaging. I haven't read a dystopian book in a while, but I really enjoyed this one. I really liked Maggie as a main character. She was very kick-ass and sarcastic, and I really enjoyed that. Something I didn't like was how fast the relationship developed between her and the love interest, but it was still an enjoyable read. I will pick up the sequel, I just don't know when, and I gave this one 3.5 stars. Next, I read Madness So Discreet by Mindy McGinnis. This is a young adult historical fiction. We follow Grace, who is pregnant and in an asylum. Because her family is afraid of what people will think, it's all about that image. And she meets this doctor, Dr. Thornhollow, who is very interested in criminal psychology and investigates murders and that stuff, and he realizes that Grace has a very brilliant mind and he wants to take her along on the investigations. First of all, there were so many amazing female characters in this. The themes of feminism and mental health issues and rape are worked into this story so well. Historical fiction doesn't have to be problematic just because things were a certain way back then. I just thought those themes were worked into the story very well. The relationship between Grace and Dr. Thornhollow was purely platonic and it was wonderful, and I need more friendships like that. I just love the way that they worked together, and Grace was such an interesting main character, and this was such an amazing book. Loved it, and I gave it 4.5 stars. Then Cramathon happened, and I already have a video up with the books that I read during that. I will just shortly mention them now. I read Sweet Tooth Volume 2 and I gave this 4 stars. Spot the Difference by Juno Dawson and I gave this 3 stars, I think. Finding Audrey by Sophie Kinsella and I gave this 3.5 stars. And Ella Enchanted by Gail Carson Levine. I gave this 4 stars. I had started this during Cramathon but only finished it after. This was a very wonderful and cute story. Then I read Christmas Under the Stars by Karen Swan. I've read Karen Swan books before. They're usually Christmas themed, and that was what I wanted with this book. It was very enjoyable as well as sad. We follow our main character, Meg. She is engaged with Mitch and they live in this cabin in the woods somewhere in Canada, in the mountains of the Canadian Rockies. But then this storm happens and Meg's fiance Mitch, he goes out because he wants to rescue some people that got lost, and he ends up dying. Meg is pretty desperate and she tries to radio for help and finds some unusual help. It wasn't the Christmas read that I was hoping it to be, but I still really enjoyed this book. I really liked the romance between Mitch and the person that she radios. It was a very unusual way to meet someone, and I gave this 4 stars. I finally finished the Series of Unfortunate Events. I read The End, Book 13 by Lemony Snicket. I was reading this for 2 months. I don't even know why it took me that long. I wasn't quite satisfied with how the series ended, but I do have to say that the ending epilogue, I guess you could call it, left me mind blown. I did not see it coming. That last word. But yeah, overall I was a bit disappointed because I feel like there's still so many things left unanswered, but I still gave this 4 stars. I listened to the audiobook of Furiously Happy by Jenny Lawson. This is a nonfiction book in which Jenny Lawson talks about her mental health issues and how she deals with them. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. This is a new favorite. I laughed out loud several times. It is hilarious as it is meaningful to me now. Jenny Lawson narrates this herself, which made it even more hilarious in my opinion. I could relate to so many things she talked about, and it was, oh god, I love this so much. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And in an attempt to reach my Goodreads reading goal, I read 2 short stories on the last day of December. One being The Pale Dreamer by Samantha Shannon. This is a novella for the Bone season, and it's about how Paige became the Pale Dreamer and when she first joined the Seven Seals. I'm usually not a big fan of novellas because usually for me they don't add much to the story. I did enjoy it, I gave it 3 stars. And then I also read one of the Pottermore short stories. The short stories from Hogwarts of Heroism, Hardship, and Dangerous Hobbies by J.K. Rowling. I quite enjoyed this one. Yeah, I gave this 3 stars. My favorite part of this was the stuff about Lupin. So those were the books that I read in December. My favorite book that I read was probably A Madness So Discreet by Mindy McGinnis. I would love to know what your favorite book of December was. Also, I've been thinking of doing my wrap-ups a bit differently. I'm not quite happy with how I'm doing them right now. I was thinking that at the start of the video, I would mention all the books that I read with their ratings and then just talk about the ones, like my favorites. Just talk a bit more in depth about the ones where I actually have something to say, but because oftentimes I don't really have anything to say about a book, it was just okay. Tell me down below what you think about that. Should I change my wrap-ups or should I keep them like I'm doing them now? I hope you enjoyed watching this video. That was it for this time, and I will see you next time. Bye!